All right, welcome everybody. June 9th, Wednesday, 6 PM. I'd like to call this meeting to order. If everyone would follow me, stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I'd like to remind everyone of the norms of collaboration. Sarah, roll call, please.
Here, Dawn Horton.
Here.
Sarah Jones here. Craig Corpola. Dana Wells Jenny. Here. Jeff Wolfersberger.
Here.
Tim Wood.
Here.
Thank you, ma'am. 1.05 addenda. I do have two things to add to the addenda tonight. If you don't mind, I would like to add the discussion of the vacant board seat, and then the swearing in or the oath of office after that.
I just have a question about that. If we have one candidate that's out of town, they're just out.
No, we just discussed them.
Okay. They send a letter.
We will discuss that person based on their letter that is submitted. It was clearly stated that the seat has to be filled tonight.
Okay.
He has a prior function, may be available by the time we get to that point
Okay.
later in the evening.
Just want to clarify, when you say swearing, we're actually not swearing into the next meeting, so we're going to vote, is what you mean?
We are going to swear in tonight. We have to do it tonight to maintain our 30-day state. We will swear in tonight. The candidate that accepts the position will get their paperwork to take to county clerk's office in Marshall. That I can double check, but I believe it has to be done by Friday is our 30-day cutoff.
I thought it was the 17th is the day she resigned.
Yep, which would be Friday, 30 days after. So
I'm just double checking because I don't want to, I'm just saying, is it?
30 days.
Her official resignation was on the 17th?
Friday 17th. No.
30th, this is
Monday
the 16th of
17th.
June, so technically if we want to swear them in, we could swear them in the committee of the whole meeting on Monday. I'm just,
Will that give them time to register?
if we swear them in the committee of the whole meeting, then they would have, if we swear them in on the meeting of the committee of the whole on Monday, that would give them Tuesday and Wednesday to take it in. That's 30 days.
They can turn in their paperwork to Marshall before they get sworn in.
Right.
Sworn in is just a formality that Pennfield chooses to use.
Yeah, so they have to turn the paperwork in by June 16th, not Friday. That's 30 days. May 17th
Okay.
to June 16th. So we don't have, to if we're discussing, we can call them and tell them tonight, and then they can, but like official swearing in, if we're being official, they're not getting sworn in until the committee of the whole meeting. So we can say that we're gonna vote on it and let that person know tonight. I just wanna make sure that we're being official in the notes. Does that make sense?
That's what you want to do. All right, to vote to add, discuss vacant board seat. Sarah, if you would, with a vote, please, to add that to the agenda.
Okay. So vote to add discussion to the agenda. Sarah is a yes. Dana?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
Was there a second on that? Did we need one?
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
Just to be,
Sorry.
Motion passes. That would be 4.02 for this evening. On the motion to add swearing in an oath of office tonight. I don't have a second, so
oh, you want to add swearing it in tonight?
I would like to do it tonight.
I don't have a problem. Let's just put it to a vote. I second that. Unless there's a
I'm just saying,
procedural.
it's just like if the person goes home, then are we gonna call them back to come, I mean, if they, so, for example, say it's the
Yes.
6:30, so
Yes.
we want them to come back at 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night?
That's what my plan was, so.
I mean, that's just
Yeah.
kind of how it's been done before.
Yeah, it's true, that is a courtesy thing.
It's a courtesy thing, it's always waited to the next meeting,
Yeah.
and we have the opportunity to do it on Monday, so,
And did you count the days for sure?
Yeah,
We won't-
100%.
Okay.
so we
I'm
can
fine.
notify them tonight,
Right,
but I would amend that we could notify that person tonight, they can turn their paperwork, but we swear them in on Monday, that's how I
You
would
don't need
amend
to,
that.
you don't need to amend it. They'll be notified tonight regardless, so.
Right, but we swear them, I
Okay.
would amend that we swear them in on Monday at the committee of the whole.
so do you wanna modify
You know,
the,
Proposal
we don't
on the
need to-
table to vote
we don't-
tonight.
We don't need to modify it.
okay.
We don't need to modify it. If we don't do it tonight, then we'll do it on Monday.
And that's just a swearing in, we'll still vote tonight and
Yeah,
let them
yeah.
know, okay.
Okay, so with a vote to swear them in tonight, Dana,
No,
Jeff,
Yes?
Tim,
Yes,
Dawn,
Yes.
okay, I'd say no, but that doesn't.
So three?
Three.
Three. Motion passes. We will add that as 4.03. That way we can just get it all done tonight. All right. 2.01, comments from the public. We do not have any participants tonight. No consent agenda. So moving on, 4.01, conduct a meeting with our candidates. Our first candidate, Brad Crandall, welcome, sir. Thank you for coming in tonight. I guess I will start off with the first question, if you don't mind, sir. What qualities, skills, and experience would you bring to the board?
As far as qualities, I would hope to bring a spirit of cooperation and trying to work together with, obviously, other board members, staff, people in the community to, hopefully move this district forward and, solve some of the problems and address the challenges that are ahead of us. Skills. I've been a small business owner. I have a family dairy farm. It's a fifth generation. My brother and I are fifth generation. And so a lifelong member of the community, school district, graduate, 1989. And just looking forward into the future, something I've always considered was serving on the board. I've been on, I guess other qualities, I've served on two other boards, agricultural related, Farm Bureau, County Farm Bureau Board for about 10 years, and then a co-op that we're involved with the farm business, major vendor for 9 years. I was on that board, so
Awesome.
a little bit of board experience, and then degree in supply chain management from Michigan State. That's getting older every day, I guess, but so a little bit of business education as well as hands-on operating the business for many years.
Thank you, sir. Tim?
What do you see as the biggest challenges for Pennfield schools right now, and how would you choose to fix those challenges?
I think the biggest challenge is, it's an easy one, it's always funding. We're always trying to figure out where how the next budget's gonna be met, and I think you have to be more creative all the time with ideas, and we're certainly doing a lot of research on some of the things that go into that, but I know that's what everybody here is probably in agreement with, it. How do we move into the future, and we've got a lot of upkeep problems, we've got a lot of infrastructure, and then just the everyday challenges of, operations of the school, and, the money seems to always get tighter every year for one reason or another, and so that's the biggest challenge I see.
Thank you.
Okay, what experience do you have working with a group of very diverse opinions, and how will that inform your work on the Pennfield School Board?
Okay, I guess that's a little bit of a tough question because I guess I don't have a great wealth of experience working with diverse opinions, but, you know, I guess I'm quite often preaching to the choir with the farm community, or some other peer groups, but I guess I've always had a healthy respect for listening to other people, people's opinions. I really enjoy a healthy debate, and that's something that I think that we need to make sure we don't get away from in the future is the ability to have debates and talk to each other. I don't like, you know, people for any reason getting, you know, shut down on sharing, you know, their opinion or out of fear or any other reasons. So I guess I don't have that experience working with diverse groups other than probably just things around the people in the community with maybe the school activities would be about the most diverse.
As a school board member, you will be tasked with voting on many different issues. And are you willing to put learning first, and how will you ensure that the focus will be on what's best for the whole student population?
Well, that's truly my focus is making sure these kids develop the way they need to be successful. Both the kids that come from difficult circumstances as well as the kids that are, you know, capable or wanting to achieve, you know, great things. So I think you have to try to find that balance of, you know, working with both ends of the spectrum on that and not bring one end down while you're trying to bring the other end up. You know, I don't think that's ever valuable. I think we always want to move everybody ahead. You need your leaders developed, you know, long-term to help people that they need a little more help at the bottom and to get up to the higher level. So ensuring that, just by working hard at it, I guess you gotta be open to new ideas, and I think new ideas are important as far as, you know, how schools are run in the future. I just don't think a lot of the models now are sustainable. You know, they haven't been for a long time, but we've taken a lot of areas, things limp along. You just make it another year, and you know, try to get by on what's there, but maybe some more fundamental push from the grassroots level of the school board can help push that along in the future.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here tonight. If chosen for the board vacancy, what key accomplishments would you like to see achieved during your time serving the board?
Well, that's a tough one. Kind of where do you begin, I guess. I know I'd love to see some work done on some new ideas of getting some of the infrastructure things addressed. I think long-term maintenance of the facilities, it seems like it's never in the budget enough. You know, there's a desire to build fancy new things, but you've got to have the money in the budget to take care of those. And I know all too well, operating a farm, that you just get bled to death all the time on replacing equipment and just keeping everything working that you know you invest in. You know, you push for a 20-year bond, and you know, you don't want everything to pour out after 10 years. And I think a lot of times those kind of things get put on the bottom of the budgetary needs because they're easier to push that way, but they always come back. And I think that's something that I don't know how it would be addressed, but it's an important part of the budget.
Thank you.
Being a school board member may or will require multiple meetings each month and many hours of reading to properly prepare for meetings. Are you willing and able, excuse me, and able to devote the necessary time to be prepared for meetings?
Yes, I am. I take that part of it very seriously with the business that I'm in. You know, it's a 24/7, 365-day-a-year operation. And it does take a lot of my time, obviously, but I've reached a point in my life where I've tried to free up a little bit more time than when I was younger, as well as I've reached a point where I've gotten off a couple of the other boards that I've served on, kind of with the idea of maybe seeing what was next for what little time I may have left over. I always had time for something. I just wanted to make sure I put it towards what I thought was most important. One of those things has been attending the kids' athletic events. That's one reason I free up more of my time, but definitely take that serious and fully commit. Obviously, if I do this, I'm all in and put forth the work that it takes.
Thank you.
If you could bring one new extracurricular club, team to Pennfield, what would it be?
I feel like Pennfield offers a lot already. Growing up, I wish we would have had FFA, Future Farmers of America.
I know what it is.
But it's, in our community, I know when I attended Pennfield, I was one of the few kids that grew up on a farm. But it's surprising, there's a lot of kids that are interested in agriculture because it's so different than what a lot of kids are exposed to these days. We've had a number of part-time employees that have come through the KCC programs and just they'll show up and they just decided they were interested in agriculture. So I think different things are sometimes a good idea. There's always the standard things that most schools kind of have or put in place. But and then the other thing is I think the programs that we have, more isn't always better. I think we've reached that tipping point at our school size where if you're going to offer something, you got to do it justice. I mean, we're strict on busing for sports events, kids signing out at games, and then the next thing you know, there's kids driving themselves down I-94 for an hour because they don't have a bus, or the coach cancels the bus because it fits the schedule better. Not having to ride that bus home is, I think the busing thing's been huge this year. Everybody knows that, and I think it's a little bit of a black eye on the school district when you constantly have these busing problems and you offer all these different activities, but you're having trouble getting kids there. Parents are having to leave work early or just make arrangements that really aren't ideal. And while I think being key school of choice, you want to offer what you can, but you've got to be able to do a good job with what you offer. The saying you have isn't good enough, I don't think.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a long one, so there's two parts. Working effectively with other school board members and the superintendent requires skills in communication and decision-making. How do you see yourself working with other members of the leadership team, and what is your vision for education in this community?
Well, I think there's a lot of, no matter what organization you get involved with, you find sometimes you think, oh, the school or the staff, and when you get involved with groups, you realize how many great people there are involved behind the scenes, and you may develop opinions of people you don't know that aren't right. So I think it's, once you get intimately involved in an organization, you get an opportunity to meet those individual people and get to know what they're all about. And everybody has something to offer. My vision for the education, I kind of touched on it earlier. I'd really like to see, I don't know, if the schools in the area of Pennfield has a niche that they're kind of stuck with, or if you can kind of try to expand on what you offer. I think you don't want to fall short with offering the high-end kids opportunities, as well as offering things to help the lower-end kids get caught up. fully, I guess, open to ideas of cooperating with other schools, other organizations to help maybe bring that along. Anything that will help the kids, I'm fully on board with those schools that have agreements like we do with swimming, with Battle Creek, and just like I said earlier, to do justice to those things that you do offer. I think if you're gonna offer it, you gotta do it well.
Okay, this is sort of a similar question that we've been asked, but in the challenging times that we have faced this year, what would you like to see improve in the district, and how do you envision your role in that change?
Well, this year was obviously one we hope to never see anything like again, and I think in hindsight, everybody probably did the best they could. People probably have decision makers at all levels probably did some things right, a lot of things wrong. I think leaders at the top of the chain maybe weren't very clear as to what people were, maybe to help people with some of those decisions. And I think boards like school boards have been challenged and done an admirable job. And I think challenges like that, you think, well, you're through that, there probably won't be anything like that for a while, but you turn around and there's something else a year later, and I think you just always got to be prepared to deal with whatever comes along. And I don't think you ever want to get confident that things are going to be smooth sailing for a while, and then you bring in a new superintendent, you think, oh, we got that done with now, and we're smooth sailing on that. Now we don't have as much to do. Well, there's always more things, difficulties, and then maybe focusing on things when you do free up time from the major stuff. So hopefully, being past COVID, if we get there, there'll be a lot more ability for people to be geared up and ready to take on some of the other things.
It's important to be straightforward and impartial. Transparency is the key for building trust in our district. How will you ask the hard questions pertaining to the betterment of the students in the district?
Well, I think you just have to find ways to ask honest questions without being offensive. I think that's a valuable skill. You can ruin a conversation in the first 3 words, or the tone you use. I think that when you're in these positions, you just have to conduct yourself in a certain way. You can go a long way with people coming to agreement, and you just don't want to spoil things right from the get-go. Like happens a lot of times where you get off to a poor start communicating with people, and then you have to rebuild relationships to get anything done. You kind of need to be a little cautious on that without being wishy-washy on your. You got to ask the hard questions, but you got to ask them. I think there's a right way to do anything in the wrong way.
Excellent. Actually, that went pretty quick. You have about 2 minutes. Probably not the norm, but do you have any questions for us?
I had a couple earlier, but I didn't know if it was the time to. I gotta think of what they were, but.
Better prepare yourself now and
Committees that the board serves on, outside of, what are some of your main committees that you have in place right now?
so that was actually in discussion today with Kevin. Board members used to be, I say used to, even last year, were on a lot more committees. Those committees have seemed to kind of dissolve / we have a lot of new members, and those members that were on those committees are no longer with us. We actually had this conversation today of trying to fulfill some seats of board members on those committees right now. So we do have what's called a committee of the whole, which is normally our first meeting of the month, which is the second Monday of the month on the norm. Right now, we're using those committees as, as Kevin's administration. We'll bring our, finance department, we'll bring our education department, we'll bring
Policy.
policies, Trevor for about anything. We'll use those individuals. So again, we just spoke of this and definitely like to try to get some board members that would be interested in any of those, of meeting outside with those individuals. And then the board member would bring those back, and I kind of think that was the intention of, Dawn started the committee of the whole. I still think it's a great idea. We just kind of gotta get back on track of what the committee of the whole is supposed to be used for.
There's other committees too, like there's like as a district, we have like a human sexuality committee that is headed up by Molly Collins. And well, Sherry Driscoll was on it as well, and the school nurse. And on that committee are also board members. Well, they're, right now, like those board members are, well, Craig, I think, is still actually on that board committee. But there's also like parents, so that committee reviews any type of education that gets provided from K through 12, like any of that type of information, like what they learn at the elementary buildings, what they learn at middle school, what they learn in the high school. So that's what that committee is on there, and you can actually click on our website and see who's on that committee right now, because I actually was a parent volunteer on that committee for a while, so you can, like, you go and you learn about some of that kind of stuff as well. So there are a couple other little committees like that need to be cleaned up and reallocated, like Jeff said.
Yeah, so right now, like, last Wednesday, we had to come in to determine our Calhoun County ISD, board representative and alternate. So Dawn and I were voted onto that, so that's one, kind of a committee, that one of us will have to attend 2 or 3 events probably a year for the Calhoun County ISD. So there's actually a bunch behind the scenes that nobody seems to ever hear about, but
There's more going on than ever, and, you know, when you have a 7-person board, it can become.
there's definitely not a lack of work to be done. Anything else? All right, do you have any issues? Looks like we'll probably be done, I'm gonna say around 9:30? 9? Probably about 9 o'clock. Do you have any issues with a phone call and 15, 20-minute notice, possibly come back?
So, yeah, if I were chosen, I'd get a phone call that I would need to come back in,
Please,
for sure, okay.
if you don't mind, provide me with your,
Well, he'll get a call either way, right?
correct. If I could get your phone number
Yep.
on here. As of right now, I motion to take this meeting to recess.
Brad, it's funny you talk about FFA, and one of my fondest memories
Welcome. Jared Kirtley, our next candidate. As discussed earlier, we added to the agenda, we will be discussing and voting to fill the seat tonight.
Yep, I saw that.
And then we should be done around 9 o'clock.
Okay.
We will call that candidate tonight.
Okay.
We are choosing to swear that candidate in tonight.
Okay,
So therefore, they can also go to fulfill their duties with paperwork in Marshall, at
Okay.
the county clerk's office, and ultimately prepare yourself for Monday's meeting.
perfect.
So, we'll get right going. We kind of round robined earlier. We each have 2 questions for you.
Okay,
You have 20 minutes.
perfect.
Jared, what qualities, skills, or experiences would you bring to the board?
A handful of them. One, I sit currently on the board of Sprout. I am the chairperson for our fund committee, essentially. I have been a part of that board for about a year and a half now, doing development work and, you know, the governance work that comes with, you know, that organization. Have sat on several other committees between previous churches that we attended, other community groups that I've been a part of. A lot of that volunteer committees where the idea is to try to build grassroots, you know, build more people to come in and help us on that committee. And then from a work perspective, my background is project management, information technology primarily. But do a lot of business analysis and data analyst work. Like to get into the numbers and understand things and understand everything that's happening so I can make an informed decision. So I feel like I bring a lot of confidence in looking at data and breaking it down and being able to understand what's in front of me to make an informed decision.
Did I hear you say the Pennfield Bond Committee in there?
Oh, gosh, thank you, Jeff. We were on, yes.
I thought I heard that.
Gosh, yes, thank you, I appreciate that, yeah, and just recently served on the CBAC, and really, that is kind of what drew my interest here tonight. Passionate about the district, number one, but number two, that's a big project, that's a big thing upcoming, and not just from a dollars and cents perspective, but voters and what that brings and what that means short-term and long-term for the district. So that was a good experience to not only work with others in the community, but spend a lot of time understanding the district as well and knowing kind of what's out there, you know, kind of at a high level for everything else and a slightly deeper level from a buildings and grounds and infrastructure perspective. Thank you for, yes, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out tonight, and thank you for all your work on the bond committee.
Thank you.
Like you said, that is an extremely huge project.
Yep.
Just a point of clarification. Earlier, when we said, you know, that we would vote and swear the person in tonight, you had heard that. Did you hear the questions that we asked the first candidate?
I
Were you
did, yes.
watching?
Yep.
Okay. Just a point of interest, the first candidate didn't get to hear the questions. So the other candidates are pre-prepped.
Yeah.
So just a point that maybe we should consider. With this, which is nothing,
Yeah, absolutely.
that's our fault.
That's a good point.
So, what do you see as the biggest challenges for Pennfield schools right now, and how would you fix those challenges?
So I think there's, if I break it down, there's 2 of them. I think the big overarching one is the bond itself, and not only from a vote and what that means for the actual building and the work that's being done, but what that means for the maintenance, the future. That, like we said, it's a big project. More importantly, how that's done, I think, is kind of the biggest challenge, because there's a lot of items that were brought up by the board of, great, we're gonna potentially go after this money and try to get people to vote for it. We need to be good stewards with that money and make sure that's done correctly and appropriately. And then kind of part B to that is the almost aftercare of that, of what does that mean for the rest? After this initial awesome is done, how do we continue that? What is the plan moving forward? It seems to be the the struggle that has existed for a long time is great, we do this thing with the bond, and then what's next? And I think that what next is probably that big challenge of how do you continue to maintain that? And then I think that probably the other big one is continuity. Obviously, the last year and a half has been nuts. I give props to the administration, the teachers, and the board for making decisions that were difficult and unpopular at times and carrying that weight on shoulders. So I think bringing whatever normal is back and trying to not necessarily reverse what was done, but move forward with that and continue to try to get back to normal.
Thank you.
All right, you kind of touched on the committees you were on, but what experience do you have working with a group of very diverse opinions? And how will that inform your work on the Pennfield School Board?
So, not only from a committee and board perspective with Sprout, but also in the work that I do at Kellogg's, we have a ton of diverse opinions, a ton of diverse backgrounds and people, and it's about finding the common ground, number one, and trying to break down the problem that everybody can understand, or not even the problem, whatever the situation is, finding some common ground and working through that. And that's easier said than done at times, but the idea is to find ways that we can come together, group together, and work through that, however that may be. And sometimes that's hot tempers, sometimes that's I need to walk away for a few minutes and gather myself and come back, cool down a little bit, and also reading the room a little bit and recognizing, okay, maybe we need to put a pause on this and taking the time to understand we're all people, we're all trying to do this together, we're trying to make the Pennfield community better. Let's not destroy us in the process. So I think it's a matter of trying to find ways to work together, finding the common ground, and then pushing forward with whatever that would be.
As a school board member, you'll be tasked with voting on many different issues. Are you willing to always put learning first, and how will you ensure focus on what is best for the whole student population?
So ultimately, this board is meant to support. It's not meant to necessarily hammer people. And sometimes I think that's the view that people have of the, dropping the hammer. And that's not the point. The point is to be able to come together and put students first, put education first, making sure that we can provide what I think is an excellent education. I wouldn't have my family here if I didn't believe in Pennfield. I wouldn't have, be a part of this community if I didn't believe in the community and putting that community first, whatever that would be. Sometimes not even necessarily what I want. What I want may not be what everybody wants in this room, and that's okay. Get that out there, talk about it, and then continue to move forward, making sure that the students are represented, the staff are represented, the administration is represented, and ultimately we can try to be a board that furthers the community, not just the school and the students themselves, but continue to always have the mindset of the students and their education first, and then the other stuff will come.
Welcome tonight.
Thank you.
If chosen for the board vacancy, what key accomplishments would you like to see achieved during your time of service on the Pennfield School Board?
I think ultimately it's getting that yes vote November, number one. That's huge. There's so much potential that can happen with that yes vote, but two, I think it would be figuring out the plan for the future and whatever that would be. And I think of the buildings, and I think of the athletics, and I think of everything that Pennfield is today, and looking around the city and the county as a whole, making sure that we're in that same conversation. I would love to make sure that when we talk about Lakeview, that we're talking about Pennfield. We're talking about Harper Creek, we're talking about Pennfield too. And I want that to be probably the legacy, not just for me, but for all of the board to say, we represent Pennfield and people know Pennfield, not just for me. It's another district, but they excel at education, they excel at sports, they excel at whatever it is. And to me, that when I think about my kids and growing up in the district, I want them to look back and go, we belong here. This is important to us. This is our home. And I wanna be a part of that and have that part of me and my legacy, if I can be chosen to be, I wanna be a part of that and have that as something that I can pat myself on the back on to say, I did this for my kids, I did this for the community as a whole, not just to check a box and say, I sit on the board. I don't want that part of it. I want a legacy that says I care about the people in this district.
Thank you.
Awesome. Being a school board member, you may and will be required multiple meetings each month, many hours of reading to prepare for meetings. Are you willing and able to devote the necessary time to prepare for meetings?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of my strengths is breaking down data and looking at it, number one, but number two, looking for those details and understanding that and being prepared to walk in. I hate nothing more than walking in and feeling like I'm not bringing my best to whatever room that I'm in. And that's time, and making that a priority. Again, not just a checkbox to say I'm here, but to know what we're talking about, to make an educated decision based on what's in front of me and prepared to help this group. It's not, again, not just me, it's everybody in here, and making sure that I can be counted on, not just as a vote, but as somebody who knows the material and can help further this along.
Thank you.
If you could bring one new extracurricular club team to Pennfield, what would it be?
So I would say, and you can see the movement kind of happening already with some of the activity that like the Troy Fort and a few others are involved with, but it's getting younger kids opportunities to participate in sports that, and potentially non-traditional sports. I look at, my son loves flag football. I love my son to death, but he's not built to be a pads type of player, and he knows that, and he's also kind-hearted and knows that he doesn't want to hurt somebody. And so the idea of having a flag football league or some sort of activity where we can get the kids who want to do other things but may not fall into those traditional buckets, getting them the chance to do something in district. Don't get me wrong, send them to battle, play for the Y or, the Wallace Park Men's League, but more importantly, why not have it here? Why
Right.
can't we do something here and expand on what's there? That movement that I see happening is huge, and I'd like to see that continue to happen, to get those younger kids involved. That turns into kids in middle school and high school who want to participate, who want to do things for the district. And that starts going, and that's what I think I'd like to see develop more, giving those kids that opportunity.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay. Working effectively with other school board members and the superintendent requires skills in communication and decision-making. How do you see yourself working with other members of the leadership team? And what is your vision for education in this community?
So I think that was key in some of the work that we did for the bond committee. A lot of time and effort went in looking at ideas and bringing them back and hearing from the board and the administration to kind of mull it over again and make sure that we bring back the right details, the right information to everybody. So I would say that was kind of key for being comfortable here tonight, to be able to have those conversations and knowing that, again, respecting that diverse opinion and working through those, and then, tying that back to the education piece. I think there's a lot of students that are, or at least feel like maybe they're not heard. I know that Vanna was here a couple weeks ago talking about the GPA piece for her, making sure that those kids are heard and understood. Even if that's not an action that the board can take or the staff can take on, making sure that those kids, as they grow and nurture and help nurture them into these leadership roles, that we do that from an education standpoint. We give them those opportunities to do that and to be heard. I know that at that age, I would not have been comfortable walking in here. And there's a group of kids in Pennfield that are and want to, and making sure we reach more of them and drive the education, not just in math and science, but public speaking and being willing to stand up for things that you want to stand up for. So I see the education piece being growing, maybe even outside of the normal, studies, and giving students that opportunity to try to grow bigger than what they feel like they can even do today.
Thank you.
In the challenging times we have faced this year, what would you like to see improved in the district, and how do you envision your role in that change?
So I think that, matter of fact, I was just having a conversation in the other room, kind of what the last year and a half has been. And the one thing that just pops out in my mind is the communication and cohesiveness, I think. Not that it wasn't there, but there were times where things were fractured. I think it was the nature of the beast that COVID brought, and tempers and feelings and everything else kind of came into play. And I'd love to see from a district having more open communication with people, and just trying to, again, nurture that community feeling, and making sure that, I think we do, the district and the board as a whole does a great job of transparency, but continuing that and making sure that that is what people know and expect from the board and from the school, and continuing to move that forward to make sure that people know that they can reach out and talk. They don't have to be afraid. Yes, I may not agree, and yes, I may not like that, but making sure that they know we can still talk.
It is, speaking of talking, it's important to be straightforward and impartial while serving on the board. Transparency is the key for building trust in our district. How will you ask the hard questions pertaining to the betterment of our students and district?
So if there's anything, spending time on the bond committee and watching the board meetings, I think that's the one thing that was evident of, you gotta say the things that are unpopular. You gotta say the thing, do it respectfully and do it honestly, but continue to have that thought process, continue to bring those up and have that discussion. I think a lot of times discussions are turned to arguments without even realizing it. And making sure that we can have those discussions, have those debates, have those conversations, knowing though in the back of my mind and the board's mind of, it's about the students, it's about the district, it's about the community, and trying to lay it all out there, have those conversations, and then ultimately make the decision, right, wrong, or otherwise, on the information that's in front of you, and don't let either the noise or the other stuff impact that decision. It's hard to do sometimes, because there's a lot of other pulls, personal feelings, whatever would be involved in. You have to make the decision based on what's in front of you and the data that you have, and being willing to stand by that decision. That was one of the conversations we had with the bond committee of, we all wanted A, but what if the board went with B? We don't like B, but what if the board went with it? And we all said, right from the get-go, we would support that. It's not about what I want at that point. The board has that decision. We need to support that, because ultimately, come November, if I don't support that, we're gonna get a no. And it's about making sure that I stand by that decision, regardless if I like it or not. It's not necessarily that I've had my say, I've had my time. If that's how it goes, then I need to throw my weight behind that and go full forward with that, and push that with people, and making sure that they know that this group is together, not individuals. Infighting is not the way to go.
Thank you.
Thank you for your answers. That is, actually, I could give you a couple minutes. Do you have any questions for us?
No, I don't think so. The process has been very open and transparent, and very clear in the meetings, so I appreciate that. Watching the meetings the last couple of weeks and being here for a couple of them, very wide open and have no questions or issues at all.
Awesome. I think I asked, but are you available if we call you and ask you to return to the school
I would be.
at or shortly after 9?
Yep, I would be.
All right. I'll get your phone number. I'll take the meeting to recess until 7 PM.
Oh,
Hello.
All right, where did the hot seat go?
It's right there.
All right.
I'd like to call this meeting back to order.
All right, welcome, Dawn Bayman.
Yes.
Thank you for coming in this evening. We did discuss, if you reviewed the agenda, we did add to the agenda tonight. We will be discussing and determining, filling our vacancy tonight. We should be done with, discussion around 9 o'clock. And we would like to invite that individual back and go ahead and swear him in tonight. Are you available 9, shortly after 9, if we call you and ask you to come back here?
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. Kind of doing a round robin. I'm gonna start with a question. You have 20 minutes, and we each have 2 questions, and we'll go around the table.
Okay, I'll try to not talk more than 20 minutes.
First question, what qualities, skills, or experiences would you bring to the board?
The number one quality that I have is the fact that I'm a parent, and I'm concerned about my own children's education. The 2 children I still have in school are attendees in the Pennfield area. So any decision I made would directly affect them. So my concerns would hit home every day. But I have a law enforcement background. I have a medical background. I'm currently working in EMS. I've had experience with students with special needs. I was a substitute teacher for 13 years in the Calhoun area. So I kind of tried to cover all the bases and get enough knowledge to make sure that I can make my children knowledgeable about the world and able to participate and be members of society that are functional.
Thank you.
Hello. Thank you for coming out tonight. What do you see as the biggest challenges for Pennfield schools, and how would you fix those challenges?
I think the challenges change every year based on what you have to face in that school year, last year being COVID, and making decisions about what's best to give an education to a child in a situation that's in the weird situation that they were in, without alienating the parents and the families in your district. Right now, I think one of the biggest problems in the district is that there's a desire for involvement in sports, and there's not a pool at Pennfield. There's question about whether they're gonna get viewed by colleges because of the size of the district. So some of those things are concerns for the sports parents. But I think the biggest concern for any parent any year is my child being given the best education that's available to them where I live? Because if not, do I need to step out? Do I need to go somewhere else? So I think Pennfield's biggest concern is making sure that they're that district, that they're the district that kids want to come, their parents want them at. And I think that fixing that would be answering the needs of the parents when they come to you and they say, we want you to offer this, or not offer that, or don't teach this, or do teach that. Really hear them and make sure that they know that their concerns for their students are as important to the board as they are to the parent themselves. And I think that being available to the parents would be the first way to fix the issue of losing students and parents wanting to bring their kids here.
Thank you.
Okay, what experience do you have working with a group of very diverse opinions, and how will that inform your work on the Pennfield School Board?
Well, I worked in law enforcement for 6 years, so I don't know of any more diverse set of opinions than a room full of law enforcement officers that are surrounded by less than law enforcement people. But right now, I work in the medical field. So every single person I run into has a different opinion than me. And I have to make the best of that situation every single time. When I enter an issue with a person who's broken their leg, they're in crisis. And that crisis to them is different than the next person that I come in contact with a broken leg. And so I have to meet their needs individually every time. And even though the situation is exactly the same, the personalities are different. And so I'm required to change every single time I answer a call. So I think that's what I bring to the table, is the fact that I have to be diverse every day. It's like practice.
Broken leg thing got me. As a school board member, you will be tasked with voting on many different issues. Are you willing to always put learning first? And how are you ensure your focus will be best for what's good for the whole student population?
Well, my focus is gonna be what's best for the student population because I'm gonna have students in it. I have children that are entering high school and children that are entering the first grade. Every decision I make is gonna affect the next at least 12 years of my life. And so if I make poor decisions as a board member, I'm gonna have to deal with that at home. And so I think the way I'm gonna deal with that is the fact that if it's gonna affect my children, I'm gonna make the best decision possible because that is a personal effect. I'm not a person who doesn't have kids that my decisions are gonna change things for. So I'm not making those decisions just based on my personal needs. They're based on the needs of the kids. And my children are friends with all of the other children that are gonna be affected by any decision made by the board.
Thank you. If chosen for the board vacancy, what key accomplishments would you like to see achieved during your time of service on the Pennfield School Board?
I think the only accomplishment that the board really should focus on is ensuring that we keep our student population and that it grows and that our students are graduating as functional members. We're not just pushing them through, that they're getting educated while they're here and that we are the district that people look at. That when they make a choice to send their children outside of where they live, that this is one of their first choices. And I think that would be the best accomplishment the board could do is becoming the #1 choice in the area.
Thank you.
Being a school board member may require multiple meetings each month and many hours of reading to prepare yourself for meetings. Are you willing and able to devote the necessary time to be prepared for meetings?
My children come first and their education is #1 to me. I work part-time now because my kids needed me. So being a board member would just be an extension of my parenting. I absolutely am ready and willing to make the time.
Thank you.
If you could bring one new extracurricular club team to Pennfield, what would it be?
I don't know that that's my decision. I think if I was given the opportunity to say, here's a lot of money, let's use it for extracurriculars, I'd go to the students and I'd ask them what they wanted. What are you missing? What is it that you want to be involved in that we aren't offering you? What do the parents want to see available? I don't think it's my choice. As a board member, my responsibility is to the people I represent. And so I think that choice need to be theirs. If I had the funds to fund it, that's where I'd go. I'd ask the families what they wanted. And I'd make my choice based on what the majority of my district wanted.
All right, thank you.
Working effectively with other school board members and the superintendent requires skills and communication and decision-making. How do you see yourself working with other members of the leadership team, and what is your vision for education in this community?
I think I already stated my vision for education, and that's that we become the #1 district in the area. That our education is so good that people want to be here, even if they don't live in the area. And as far as working with other people, I really am a person who believes that 2 minds are better than 1. There's things that I've experienced in life that I bring to the table that I use to make my decisions that you or another board member's never experienced, but in the same token, you have experienced things that I've never experienced. And so between us, we can come up with what's best because of all of our experiences. If I'm the only one making a choice, I only have the knowledge to go on of what I've experienced in my life. And so working with a team of people who have different life experiences to bring to the table makes making a hard decision, I think, a lot easier. Because it's not about my failure at that point, it's about our collaborated ability to put what we know forward as a team.
In the challenging times we have faced this year, what would you like to see improved in the district, and how do you envision your role in that change?
This year's challenges were so strange and unique that I don't know that we'll ever experience anything like it again. But I think it brought to light the concerns of the parents of the district. I think this crisis brought people forward that had never spoken up before, that had never felt like they needed to be heard or that they thought it would matter. I think the board heard from parents that never felt the desire to get involved. They just sent their kids to school and they went to work and they came home, and it was something they didn't have to concern themselves with. I think that this crisis that we just experienced changed people's thought process. It changed people's ability to sit back and just watch it happen. And I think that we need to recognize that there are a lot more people that we're gonna have to hear as a board now. Prior to last year, I think there was a lot less involvement in the parent population. I know I was a lot less involved. And this crisis woke me up to the fact that I was just letting life happen to my kids. And I don't think there are parents in the district now that are willing to do that anymore. And so it's gonna make the board as a whole more accountable. And I think that's important.
It's important to be straightforward and impartial as a board member. Transparency is the key for building trust in our district. How will you ask the hard questions pertaining to the betterment of our students in our district?
Asking the hard questions is not hard for me. Unfortunately, in my life, I've been told sometimes I'm brutally honest. So I don't mind hearing what I don't want to hear, because if you didn't ask, you wouldn't know. But I believe that if you're going to ask the question, you need to be able to hear an answer you don't want, because it's important to hear the other side of an argument, the other side of an idea. But I don't sugarcoat things either. I'm not that person. I'm the kind of person that wants to say, look, here are the facts. This is how it is. What do we do with this? what can we do to fix it? I'm okay with banter back and forth, let's argue it out, because that's how it works, that's how you get to a decision that can work for everybody, because there's 6, 7, 10 people making a decision. No one is gonna walk away 100% happy with every single decision made. And so being able to be the one who's not happy sometimes is how you get things done. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being unhappy every once in a while, because it forces you to grow.
Thank you.
We do have a couple minutes left. Do you have any questions for us?
How long is the term that opened up?
So you would actually serve until December 31st of 22.
Okay, so it's a year and a half.
18 months.
Ish,
Correct.
18, okay, all right, and
Correct.
then that's another election cycle at that point.
Yep, so if you so make it and choose to keep going or rerun, then you would rerun in next November's election. And if you get voted in by the district, then or by the township, you would stay on the board for a 6-year term.
Oh,
But
okay,
you are filling a term that is already in place that person resigned. So you have to fill that seat first and then go.
Okay.
I'm a perfect example. I filled a seat for somebody that resigned, so I have to fill their term first. And then I would be in the same boat of rerunning next November to stay on the board.
okay, and then is there any responsibility with this seat that, other than being a board member, like, was this particular person the treasurer or the secretary, or?
So all that is covered.
Okay.
Every January, we'll go through the officers' meeting, as we call it. We vote for officers every spring, or, every January. So all the officers are filled, so you'd be coming straight in as a trustee.
Okay. I think that's the only questions I had. Their third Monday, is that the meeting date?
Normally, we're the second and third Monday of the month
Okay,
would be our board meetings. Hence, one of my questions, we are doing a lot of trainings to better educate ourselves and better ourselves to help with the district. We're doing a lot of trainings right now. Last month, we had 3 meetings. This month, we have 3 meetings. Next week, we have 3 meetings. Next month, we have 2 meetings, scheduled as of right now.
Okay.
So it changes. Hence your time and ability, schedule. Last week, something came up that we had missed and had to have a meeting next Wednesday to address the situation sooner than we could get to a next board meeting. So I had to call a meeting on Monday for everyone to come in on Wednesday and take care of some matters, so.
and normally you have a regular amount of time for letting people know?
So per our board policy, we have to give 18 hours notice to the public. We have to have at least 18 hours notice. If I call a meeting, everyone will have at least that. By all means, that is not the norm. We've never had one that quick. We've had plenty of time to prepare. Our schedule is set right on the district's schedule, for all public to view. We get into some times that we're very busy and we got to get work done and we just don't have enough time in meetings, we may have to call another meeting. Hence, the next couple months are honestly a huge, everybody's out of the building, but we have a lot of work to do to go into, August of next school year, so. There's not a shortage of there's not a shortage of work to be done.
Okay.
I think I can contest for that, and anybody else can chime in if they'd like. So there's plenty of stuff to do. Yeah,
Okay.
anything else?
No, I think that's it.
All right.
Not knowing, obviously, that until 9 o'clock tonight, I do have some stuff scheduled for this month already, like the beginning of next week. But, I mean, other than that, my schedule, for my employer, I get at the beginning of the month. So I normally know or can choose to be off on particular days of the month. So it would make, majority availability pretty good.
Okay.
Um,
Like I said, normally it's the second and third Monday of the month. We try to stick to that.
That's an absolute.
That's an
And those
absolute.
won't post it on the website.
Okay. Well, second, Mondays, I normally just say, okay, I'll pick up these days. Being a part-time employee, he puts out the schedule and then he says, here's the openings, which ones do you want?
Mhm.
So if I know ahead of time, I can just not take those days, whatever they are.
Fair enough.
But I would hate to think that you had 4 things scheduled for the next 4 days and
Yeah.
I was getting sweared in today and then
Yeah.
didn't have opportunity to tell my children that we're not going to the water park. I don't wanna have that argument.
I gotcha. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. Very much appreciate your coming in tonight. I'm gonna get your phone number here in a second.
I
And it-
believe it's
And it is starting to rain.
Is that right?
I'll get your phone number here in a second, and then I'll be in contact either
I know, I
way.
knew about that.
I'd like to take this meeting to recess. Bring this meeting back to order. I'd like to welcome Stephen Herbstreth. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us tonight. As you may or may not know, watching online, we have added 2 agenda items for tonight. We will be going ahead in discussing and voting to fill the seat tonight.
Okay.
The meeting should be over about 9 o'clock.
Okay.
We would like to call that individual back in if you are available. Or will you be available?
Tonight?
Tonight. About 9 o'clock?
Yeah, I gotta go to work right after this. So
Fair enough.
we can, maybe, I might be able to make it work.
Fair enough. We are actually 30 minutes out of schedule. We
Okay.
have one more interview after you, so it may be before that.
Okay,
But we would like to get all that done tonight.
okay,
Give the candidate time to get to Marshall and get their Calhoun County paperwork done
okay,
and prepare themselves, then they can prepare themselves for Monday meeting.
okay. Marshall will be done tomorrow, or,
It could be,
okay,
it could be.
okay, yeah, I should be able to make it work.
You know, we just can't give you board information until that paperwork's signed.
Gotcha.
Make sense?
Yep.
All right, I appreciate it, sir. We each have came up with 2 questions.
Okay.
We'll just go around the table, ask one, and then we'll go around the table again. Fair
Okay.
enough? All right, I'll go ahead and start. What qualities, skills, or experiences would you bring to the board?
Well, I work for Valkyrie PD right now, so I'm good at working in a team environment. I mean, every day we have to work in team environments, make tough decisions as a team, some that get scrutinized after they're made, whether that's right or wrong, but you learn to stick with your decision and stick with the team and support that, or those decisions. Also, I mean, I think outside the box, which I think is good in this time that we're in with COVID times. There's several different things we got to look at with the kids these days with the trauma from going home. I mean, I'm liaison Lakeview, or officer at Lakeview right now. So right towards the end of school, especially like the middle school age kids or elementary kids, you start seeing that tension about them going home for the summer and being locked at home. So make sure we can offer some support to those kids for the summer, and all students, because it's not just elementary kids, but they're more susceptible to that type of stuff than maybe the high school kids, I think.
Thank you.
What do you see as the biggest challenges for Pennfield schools, and how would you fix those challenges?
I mean, budget, I don't know a lot about the budget right now, but I'm assuming with everything else in today's world, I guess, is budget issues, making sure the money is, doled out wisely, where it needs to go, and, start, at some point, and sometimes those decisions become tough because you have to prioritize and make top priorities, to where that goes. So, I'd start there with the budget and prioritize and go from there. Can I get the question one more time? Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
I start rambling sometimes, I apologize.
What do you see as the biggest challenges for the school district,
Okay. Yes.
and how would you fix them?
So budget, making sure the budget's in line with where we need to be, and then sustainable for the future of the district. And then also, I think everybody's top of mind is getting the kids back to school full-time in the fall safely. You guys, I know we brought Pennfield back 3 days a week there, full school, and I don't think there was much social distancing at that point here. I don't know, to be honest with you. At Lakeview it was kind of done different with the 2 days hybrid, so it was half the kids, and getting those kids back in school full-time and getting them back on pace so we're not too far behind, and they don't, they stay where they're supposed to be grade-wise.
Thank you.
Okay, what experience do you have working with a group of very diverse opinions, and how will that inform your work on Pennfield School Board?
Diverse opinions, where do we start? No. So since last February I've been at the school, so the 3 years previously to that I was assigned to what was called a burn grant at the department. was basically, I was assigned to Capitol Avenue. My area was grids at Capitol Avenue Southwest Rittenhouse area, so it's a community-based project. We had quite a bit of money to put towards it. And you have, in that area, you have all different races, everything. It's kind of everything. It's all in one down there. It's low income. It's, you got some landlords that make pretty decent living that actually live down in the area, have nice houses. And you got to listen to everybody's opinions. Take all those opinions into account. And can you follow up that question? I'm sorry, one more time. I should have brought a paper. I usually write notes. So.
What experience do you have working with a group of very diverse opinions, and how will that inform your work on the Pennfield School
Okay.
Board?
Yeah, so, working in there, I had to take into account all the different opinions, because we were working with, prostitution and drug activity. You got businesses down there trying to make a living, so you gotta take into the business aspect. You also gotta take into account the low income lifestyle per se, because sometimes that's really all they know. And then you gotta, again, it's making those tough decisions. It's either, you gotta make the tough decision, even though it may not be agreed with by everybody, you gotta make the right decision. So I think that kind of will follow here on the school board.
As a school board member, you will be tasked with voting on many different issues. Are you willing to always put learning first? And how will you ensure focus on what is best for the whole student population?
Yeah, so definitely, everything will be learning based for the students to make sure that the best decision is made for them to continue their learning experience, to continue through K through 12 into the college aspect of learning and into the real world. I see it now, just in my daily job. I think the students in this generation are a little bit behind due to the pandemic, so we need to put the learning first and make sure we give them every opportunity to learn and get caught up and be successful in life outside of school.
Welcome, Steve. If chosen for the board vacancy, what key accomplishments would you like to see achieved during your time of service as a board member to Pennfield School District?
Basically, it's kind of a general question, but back to the learning. Students first, making sure they have everything they need to do to learn and be successful in life. Also, to make sure the staff within each school has all the tools they need to provide that education. I know it gets kind of tough sometimes. You got the IEPs and staffing wise, because some students will take more time than others. So we just need to make sure from top to bottom, any district employee all the way down to students has what they need to succeed and make our students succeed in the district.
Thank you.
Being a school board member may require multiple meetings each month, many hours of reading to prepare for meetings. Are you willing and able to devote the necessary time to prepare for meetings?
Yes. So it's funny, I was kind of debating because we're so short at work right now that it's crazy hours. So I had a couple calls or messages if I was going to put in. I'm like, I just don't know what the time commitment. So a couple days before that, I sat on my wife and talked to her. We looked over some stuff, and I don't see any reason that I can't put the time in that's needed to review the documents and make the meetings. Right now I'm on day shift, so I get out at 3 o'clock, school schedule. In the summer I work night shift, but we get comp time, and I pretty much can get any time off I want because I don't count with the vacation time. So summertime that wouldn't matter, and then the fall I'm on day shift schedule. So, and then I have time to review that, whether that's at night after I get home or whenever I have a break, a lunch break or whatever.
Thank you.
If you could bring one new extracurricular club, team to Pennfield, what would it be?
It's a hard one. I was gonna say bowling because I wasn't here when I was there. but- That's here. Oof. I might have to fail this question, maybe. No. Do we have I guess maybe I can ask this or I can't, but a robotics club, do we have that here? I know
Yes.
there's, okay.
In the high school.
In high school, we do.
Okay. I was thinking maybe try to add that in the middle school section. I know my niece, or my nephew was really into that in middle school. He's a freshman or sophomore, going to sophomore this year. Middle school, him and his group of buddies went out to the guard base, to some camps to robotic stuff during the summer. So I think that would be something good. It's a good stimulus, I think, for the mind, for the robotics club. So maybe try to extend that down in the middle school level.
Thank you.
Okay. Working effectively with other school board members and the superintendent requires skills and communication and decision-making. How do you see yourself working with other members of the leadership team, and what is your vision for education in this community?
Working together, I mean, you just have to, not everybody may agree. I mean, a big group together, somebody might not always agree, but you have to be open-minded, listen to everybody's opinion, and ultimately put the good of the district, I guess, in order, even if that's outside maybe what your viewpoint is on that issue, if that makes sense. So that aspect, just listening to everybody and being open-minded and making that group decision, what's better for the district. And as far as education, we just once I get in, get my hands wet. I mean, I don't have a lot of detailed answers for this, I guess, and maybe that's bad on my part. But as far as education, I mean, we just do whatever we can to put the students first and staff and give them that tools to make sure we're top of the line education for the area and the district, for their success, everybody's success.
In the challenging times that we have faced this year, what would you like to see improved in the district, and how do you envision your role in that change?
As far as you talking to I guess.
In the past school year, what would you have liked to see different and or improved from what we did year over year, and how would you like to help implement that change?
I think everything.
Your role.
Yeah, I think everything like COVID-wise, we probably handle the best it could right now because everybody's learning as it goes. So I guess that's a kind of a tough question for me. I think as far as what you guys did, the old school board, they were a little hesitant, I think, to bring it back. The new school board brought the kids back, which I think was what was needed. So I guess my answer to that is to continue with getting these kids back into school 5 days a week and getting their life back to as normal as possible. So, because I mean, unfortunately, some of these kids with the home life are going to have some trauma from that and lasting effects. And if we continue not to be on a normal schedule or a normal way of life, I guess that could continue to maybe hamper some of those kids, especially maybe the IEP kids. So just I guess my answer would be to get the kids back into school full time and make their life as normal as possible to finish out this pandemic.
It's important to be straightforward and impartial as board member. Transparency is the key for building trust in our district. How will you ask the hard questions pertaining to the betterment of our students and district?
Just ask them. I mean, I've been put in some pretty tough spots, I guess, so it may sound cold or whatever, but unfortunately, those questions just have to be asked, and you get the answers that you get, and, make the best decision possible. You go to that person, or whoever you have to ask that question, you just ask them. And I find the best way is not to beat around the bush. I mean, straightforward and transparent, like you said. I mean, you go, this is what we have, this is our options. What do you guys want to do? Or what's your opinion? Or what do you think we should do? What's your input?
Thank you.
Awesome. I very much appreciate that. Some of the candidates had a couple minutes left in their 20 minutes, and you do as well. We've been given that opportunity for a chance for you to ask us any questions.
I'm good at this point. Like I said, I apologize. Sometimes I don't interview the best. I felt good coming in, and you start getting questions, and I'm like, oh, I'm not ready for that one. So
That's
Yeah.
fine. We very much appreciate you coming in tonight. If you don't mind, after we go to recess, I will get your phone number.
Yep.
And, if the, time comes to where we need to call and try to get you back, we'll attempt to do that tonight. If not, we'll make proper arrangements.
We got an extra car in my district till 10, because I only took 3 hours of comp.
If you come here with the light siren,
I will, if you need me to. I mean, we can put on a show.
no. My intent
Yeah.
for getting it done tonight
Okay.
is, you cannot receive certain information until your paperwork is turned into Marshall.
Perfect.
I'm trying to give our seventh person, the seat that we're trying to fill tonight, I'm trying to give them enough time to prepare themselves for Monday's meeting.
Okay, yeah, no, just give me a call, I can make it back, so I'll make it work.
All right. For the viewers, our next appointment isn't until
8:30.
8:30. We are a little ahead of schedule, so we are going to go to recess until our next candidate is here. So, I take this meeting to recess. Thank you. Thank you. All right, call this meeting back to order. I'd like to welcome our final candidate of the evening, Miss Erin Lane. Welcome. I've been letting everyone know, we started the meeting, we also added to tonight's meeting, we are going to discuss and fill the seat tonight. Due to a board meeting on Monday. The quicker we can get your paperwork into Marshall, which officially certifies you, we can help prepare you for Monday's meeting and go from there. So we have added that and swearing in the oath of office. We're gonna go ahead and do that tonight. So after you, we are going to cut the live feed. We're going to discuss and vote and have the candidate fill the seat tonight. Just to let you know. All right, so welcome again. Appreciate you coming in. We've each compiled 2 questions apiece. We're just gonna go around the table. I'll ask the first one and we'll go from there.
All right.
What qualities, skills, or experience would you bring to the board?
Oh, okay. Quality, skills, and experience. Okay. So I think that overall I have a very good sense of leadership and vision. So seeing kind of the bigger picture and having a goal to achieve it. And being a leader, the ability to direct and motivate, I guess, so to speak. I'm a very good listener. I think that's very important. Skills would be, I've got extensive experience in working, creating policies, implementing policies, creating budgets and working with budgets, working with a very diverse group of people. Facility management, I pretty much have done it all. And then as someone in the district, I've worn pretty much almost every single hat. I've been a student, I've been a student athlete, I've been a schools of choice parent, I've been a in-district parent, I've been a volunteer, and I've been a paid employee as a coach. So I've pretty much worn every hat except administration and board. So I feel like that brings a wealth of I guess, quality or, expertise potentially to the board.
Thank you.
What do you see as the biggest challenges for Pennfield schools right now, and how would you fix those challenges?
Okay. I think right now, the biggest challenge would be trust. I think that a lot of parents in the community feel like maybe their voices weren't heard in the past year. So I think a lot of the biggest challenge is kind of gaining back that trust. Set aside from, there's obviously other issues, but I think that's the biggest thing, because I don't know if the district will move forward without building that trust back again, and that can be, I have ideas on how that would potentially be built back, but I say that is the biggest issue.
Thank you.
Okay, you kind of touched on this, but we'll have you elaborate more. What experience do you have working with a group of very diverse opinions, and how will that inform your work on the Pennfield School Board?
Sure. I have, being an administrator myself of a large child care center, I have a lot of working with a diverse set of people, whether it be demographic, economical, race, you name it. Like I've worked with it. So I hopefully that answers your question, but that's my background, working with a diverse set of people. So I've served on different committees. I have in boards. Our center being a board-based center, I've been there for 15 years, and I have worked with so many boards over the years, board members coming and going, so I've had that experience as well.
Okay, as a school board member, you will be tasked with voting on many different issues. Are you always willing to put learning first, and how will you ensure focus on what is best for this entire student population?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said earlier, one of my qualities is listening. I might have my own personal opinion, but sometimes that put aside, when you learn about a different topic or a different viewpoint, then that could definitely
sway either way. And I think keeping the focus and the vision at hand of, what's best for the kids and the community is key. So, and then being a board member, I feel like having bringing a healthy dose of like candor to the table is very important. So, being frank and straightforward and stimulating conversation is very important.
Welcome tonight. If chosen for the board vacancy, what key accomplishments would you like to see achieved during your time serving as a board member to Pennfield District?
Well, kind of like I answered earlier to him, it would be, building that, I think, the trust back, and that would be key. And then how do we improve the district, for, first and foremost, the kids of the district, and then, the staff as well. And then broader, the community. How can we involve the community more?
Thank you.
Being a school board member may require multiple meetings each month, many hours of reading to prepare yourself for meetings. Are you willing and able to devote the necessary time to be prepared for meetings?
Yeah. I piggyback to the first question, like what's the quality? A lifelong learner, so I'm always like, doing research to better myself, and anything that I do, I'm gonna give 100%. I'm a person that strives to do my best, so I wanna do an A+ job, not a C job, or even a B for that matter. So.
Do you have the time in your schedule?
I do, it's
to-
prioritizing. Obviously, a lot of, I think that's something that I mastered, back in my younger days of high school and college, being a college athlete, so.
Thank you.
I was really preparing for that.
If you could bring one new extracurricular club, team, whatever it is, to Pennfield, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good one. Something that I've always, I've seen other districts do is DECA, so being someone that's in a leadership role, like business, that's always kind of maybe why doesn't Pennfield do that? So that would be one. Something that I think actually is even more important than that would be some type of life skills types education. I employ a lot of young people, and my oldest is embarking on young adulthood, and I think just those basic necessities that maybe the parents were never taught, or things have always changed. How to fill out a job application, or how to fill out tax forms. You'd be surprised at how many people do not know how to fill those out. How do credit cards work? Just those basic life skills. How to sew a button, even. Yeah. I think those are very, very important. The more that I have employed young people or worked with young people, because I do work with a lot of students that go to the CACC, that they just, a lot of this basic stuff they just don't know or are taught. So I think that that's really important. I don't know where I saw it, probably was on Facebook, but some districts do, I think they set it up in their gym, and it's a day where they have all these different stations set up of, here's your annual salary, go pay your mortgage, or this is how you, it's kind of all that basic stuff. I thought that was a really neat idea.
Nice.
And listening to my daughter, who will be a senior, she would love all that stuff, they're just not taught that, or if they are, then she's not paying attention, I guess, but she says they're not. And then based on my experience, I don't think they are either, so, just stuff like that.
Thank you.
Working effectively with other school board members and the superintendent requires skills in communication and decision-making. How do you see yourself working with other members of the leadership team, and what is your vision for education in this community?
Okay. Communication is very important, so that's one thing that I've learned over the years. The more communication, the better. Working with a board, there's obviously lots of differing opinions, so kind of what I said earlier about, making sure that there's a healthy candor brought to the table, just being frank and straightforward, and having those stimulating conversations, and respecting people, their different opinions and thoughts.
Okay, in the the challenging times that we have faced this past year, what would you have liked to see improved in the district, and how would you envision your role in that change?
Yeah, kind of goes back to I think the trust potentially. Lots more communication, transparency is huge on what I think. So that's something I would like to see improved. When, for example, like when somebody comes in to speak to the board or calls into the board, what's done after that? You know, like, is there follow-up with that person? Is there, you know, where do their ideas or thoughts go? And, you know, they might have gotten it off their chest, but, you know, were they actually heard? And was there any action taken on it, or, yeah.
Okay, it's important to be straightforward and impartial. Transparency is the key for building trust in our district. How will you ask the hard questions pertaining to the betterment of our school and our district?
You have to ask it, and going back to my qualities, I think as a leader, like that's something that leaders have to do. They have to ask those hard questions. And there's a way to do it without being pushy or arrogant or rude, but they have to be asked. And I feel like that's what the community wants too. You know, they you know, some of them are asking the questions, and then, you know, they kind of want, like, where's the answers, or where's an explanation.
Awesome. Looks like you actually have about 4 minutes. Some other candidates had some time left. Gave them the opportunity to ask us any questions. Do you have any questions about what you may, go ahead.
Okay, well, one thing I thought of when you did mention that tonight, the person that's chosen would be sworn in, or chosen and sworn in, so one of my concerns would be, I have an issue that I'd like to bring to the board, or a comment, so I don't know how that would, you know, I don't know how that works, so I guess I just wanna throw that out there, that I don't know if that's, I don't know how that would work.
So in that particular instance, we all have questions, all the time. We try to bring that to Kevin, give Kevin a
Okay.
chance to answer that. By all means, if it doesn't go, as you wish, there is always, comments from the public.
Okay,
Anyone can speak in the comments of the public. We also have board comments at the end.
okay,
We tend to try to keep those to board-related, school-related things.
okay,
But we actually have a policy in place that anyone at any point in time can speak whatever they want in comments from the public.
okay.
And that's in every agenda, in every meeting.
Great. And then just something I thought of, like, after the fact, would be just my role that I play in the early childhood community, being a director of one of the largest centers in the area, is that I already have, like, building relationship and communications is what I spoke to earlier being important, and I feel like I already have that connection with a lot of families. And the majority of them end up being Pennfield families, because we are in the district, and I think that's important, and that would be key and vital to, like, building those relationships back up. So we get them a lot of them we get at birth, you know, as babies, and we get them all through the years until they start kindergarten, and then we even get them beyond that, you know, before and after school. But I think just having that, you know, building that trust is big, at least what I think.
I can relate. I can relate.
Yeah. So, but that was just more of a comment, but I don't have any other questions, it's just that one.
Perfect. So again, just to be clear, you would be potentially filling, a current seat, that goes to December 31st of 2022. If so, in that November election, paperwork process and so forth, if you would choose to stay on, then you would rerun, you would run in November, and Pennfield Township would vote you in to essentially continue. Anything else? All right, we're gonna do a real brief recess, and then we are gonna go straight into discussion
Okay,
and try to get that done as quickly as we can.
okay.
You are more than welcome to stick around. I can say it is a public meeting, you're more than welcome. We are trying to be a little private with everyone's, information and stuff. I am gonna kill the live stream. So if you wanna stick around, I ask if you step out in the hall. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to stay in. We'll try to make it as quick as possible, and then we're gonna let that person know yet tonight and bring them back and go ahead and do the oath of
All right,
office.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Are you gonna stay here, Aaron, or you,
I guess.
I can get your phone number.
I've got it.
Dana's got it.
Okay. All right, I motion to take a very brief recess. I've had enough coffee. Our candidates, we're gonna make this as brief as possible and get us a seat filled tonight. So we'll be back with you soon. We are, our meeting is still in order. We're back live. We have talked and deliberated. Very hard decision. But I would like to make a motion to bring Brad Crandall to fulfill the vacant board seat.
I second that.
Seconded by Dawn.
All right, the vote, Jeff,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Dana,
Yes.
Sarah, yes.
Motion passes. Brad Crandall will be joining us on the board. I will call Brad right now. We will go into recess, and as soon as we can get Brad back here to swear him in, we'll be back live. So I motion to go to recess. Thank you.
farm, so.
Oh,
Had to change clothes.
Welcome back, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting back to order. We welcome back Brad Kendall, recently voted in as filling our vacant board seat until December 31st, 2022. As a norm of Pennfield School District, we have an oath of office. We'd like to go ahead and do that, and we can get you started on your process.
Okay, so, I broke it into chunks here, so hopefully you can take each one. So, I, Brad Crandall, do solemnly swear or affirm
I, Brad Crandall, do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of the state,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
of member of the Board of Education of Pennfield School District,
of member of the Board of Education of Pennfield School District
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
There we have it.
Perfect, now. All right, so once again, I mentioned earlier, you are not official until there's a piece of paper that you have to take to the, county clerk office in Marshall. Kevin will help if you would, get you squared away with that. As soon as you take that over there, notary right there, she'll stamp it. As soon as you get that, take a picture of it, send it back to us, now you're official. Bring a copy of that back to us. And then, there's gonna be a bunch of process over the next couple of days. We'll get you an email address, we'll get you a computer, we'll get you all set up, but as soon as that paper, then you're an official board member, and you're privileged to answer.
The Pennfield Schools email will be the preferred method of communication
Yes,
for everything.
yes, so it's right in our system. We even have, a group such as like the board, quote unquote, which would be the 8 of us, Craig not being here, would be the eight members, the 7 board members, and Kevin, and we had our administrative assistant, I think, in there also. So we have groups like that. So when we get all staff emails, you'll be able to see those also and kind of see what's going on in the district. Our superb building secretaries make sure that we get their newsletters, their weekly or monthly newsletters. They forward those on to us, so we can kind of see what's going on in all the different buildings. We get retirements, we get all sorts of stuff. So yes, it is most certainly the most preferred method. Other than that, your cell phone.
Other than when you just tried to call me.
Yep, if there was something hot, then I myself, or anybody, if we need to get a hold of you, we try to call you, but.
Do you have a meeting scheduled late next week or the week after that?
Do I ask the question again?
Monday,
Monday.
The next
Coming
meeting.
week.
yeah, the next 3 Mondays in a row, actually, ironically, this
We're
one.
supposed to be going on vacation the middle of next week through the following week.
Okay,
I
so
meant to bring that up earlier.
that particular Monday that you would miss is actually a board superintendent training.
Okay.
If you already have plans, I think it's,
Is the training the June 21st?
Yeah,
If I needed to participate somehow remotely,
we are unable to do that.
Quick.
That is
You
actually,
can watch the meeting?
you can walk. And actually,
And
that
it's
will,
just
that will
training.
be live
Is
streamed.
that date the 21st?
yeah. Remember they moved the board meeting to the 28th, which is
No,
not.
I mean that he's not going to be
Yes.
available.
yeah, I would-
That's fine, this
if I
is,
need to cancel the one vacation
No,
a
no.
year,
if I was to narrow it down of importance, would be.
You're
the
gonna
board-
need that
would be-
vacation.
Would be the board meeting on the 28th, and then the board meeting on the 14th.
I looked that up the other night,
So the-
calendar-wise, wasn't sure if it had changed or anything, and I thought,
It hasn't been updated on the
it's
website
probably
yet.
not a good start. to-
The 28th has not been updated. It
Nope.
still has our board meeting as the 21st.
No, it has not been updated.
So yeah, as of right now, it seems like your vacation will still work out. We don't want Monica calling us, so.
Kevin, while you're reading notes, they still have Abby on the board?
Yeah, I did see that one today when I was doing the agendas for the next
Yeah.
3 meetings. But I didn't go in to change it at the time I was trying to go get something to eat to get back. So I will change that as well as, get Brad.
Adding Brad.
Brando in there, adding in.
Oh, one thing that I've been doing is just adding each board member individually, and then that kind of prevents that from happening.
With that group.
Yeah.
Instead of using the group.
Yeah, because Jeff had pointed out about the group, that Abby was no longer a part of that group.
Tammy
Yeah,
actually mentioned that those people that I identified have been removed.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's what Sharon said.
Yep.
But now we
Thank
just
you.
have to add.
Yeah, because you can't click on it anymore and see who's in the group, and you used to be able to click on it and see the group.
Yeah,
So I don't know if there's something that she can modify to make sure when you click on the domain, you can see who it is again. Because you used to be able to click on it and see everyone that was included in that group.
All right, we will keep right on moving and finish this out. 5.01 superintendent comments? You have anything for us, Kevin?
just congratulations to Mr. Brando.
Thanks.
Look forward to working with you, and when you send me a text, then you'll have my cell and I'll have yours.
All right.
Awesome.
6.01 board comments.
I'm really excited to work with
Happy birthday.
you. Yeah.
I think we all want to say it.
Yeah, really excited to work with you.
Humbled to be considered and selected. I'm sure there were some other good candidates.
Yes, I want to congratulate you and, again, say to our community that we had great candidates, and it's just bringing a lot of hope for our district to have so many great people interested in being a part. And, that's what Pennfield's all about.
Appreciate
Yes,
the
absolutely.
opportunity.
I'd like to thank everyone as well. We kind of kept it a little personal, but the top 3 vote getters, literally a vote apart. So it was that close. I would stay right now. I would encourage everyone that participated tonight and attempted for filling this seat to run next November. And we would have, I believe, 2 spots up for filling next November. And actually be yours and mine.
Okay.
So, anyone else for board comments? All right, I make a motion to adjourn this meeting. We are all set. Thank you, guys.
Awesome, thanks. Hey, Brad, you may get text messages, which is why I see yours. Because when I see your text message.
Time to eat.
You say eat?
Time to eat.
Yeah, I
I didn't get to